What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, AJ's Corner. There's just a quick recap of the weekend's fights. It was a really good card. I'll admit I missed the first fight, Veronica Hardy. She lost. Don't know where she goes from here. Not really that big of a fan of the women's MMA, especially now the heyday has passed and women's MMA is shockingly bad. So next fight was Oban Elliott versus Basil Hafez. I thought this was a good fight. I thought this was going to be a real close, tough fight to see where both go. Basil Hafez was swinging some bombs. He was really coming to fight. He really coming for the KO. He was throwing some dangerous hooks. They looked like if they caught someone, they blimmin' really put him out. Oban Elliott, I didn't really catch it properly on the live, but on the replay, it didn't look like it landed at a. It landed flush, but more of a not an angle where you'd expect such a reaction. But either way, Basil goes down. He puts him to sleep, wakes him up, puts him to sleep. Some brutal ground and pound, and that was it. He did a nice Hulk Hogan celebration. I thought he was good with Joe Rogan on the post fight interview. It could be a little while starbudding in the making. He's definitely looking good now after a finish. Basil Hafez is a decent opponent. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a tough fight, but up and away for Oban Elliott. Let's see where he goes from here. Another pay-per-view spot, or on an numbered card at least, not on the pay-per-view. But like he said, he was on the pay-per-view. He wasn't. He was on the prelims, but he's on a pay-per-view event, I suppose. Ramiz Brahimaz versus Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall needs to go get a job. He's lost his last four. He's 7-7 now in UFC. Has a losing record in UFC. He needs to join AEW or WWF or one of these wrestling promotions and go and rematch CM Punk, because that's about the only thing I think he's good for now. 4 in a row. He's lost. Not good. Next up, Jonata Denise versus Tabura. As I thought, Denise had a chance, as I thought he did. But what happened was that chance went quick out the window when Tabura felt the power. He knew what he had to do. Denise had to pounce on him and get him out of there early. If he didn't, it was probably going to go that way. And especially cracking Tabura. Tabura thought, yeah, I'm not going to stand with this guy. And the end of that round, he bludgeoned him. It was brutal. It was shocking to watch. It was Tabura was just playing with his food, I don't know what he was doing. The commentary was saying, what's he doing, and I was thinking the same thing. And then he just went hell for leather. I think maybe some of these fighters might be putting money on a certain round finish or something when they're confident. I don't know what's going on. Allegedly, that's just me speculating, pure speculation, of course. But it did seem strange. But then again, if he didn't want a first round finish, he wouldn't be hammering him like that at the end. So it just doesn't make any sense. I kind of thought it was a good stoppage because I think it was going to be more of the same. The guy was tough as hell. He'll be back. I think he still has a future. Denise, he doesn't have that much experience. He should probably go out somewhere for 6 months and just do nothing but wrestle, because he's obviously a good striker. He needs to just go out and learn some wrestling, grappling, and some ground defense for when you're on bottom. Onama versus Romero, that was a really good scrap. Looked like Romero was going to get a crazy debut finish. But Onama came back, hurting him multiple times. It was a bit back and forth, but Onama got the better of him. Onama does really hit hard, but Romero showed a goddamn chin. And that was a really good scrap. That was a fun fight, good fight to watch. Back and forth, but Onama clearly getting the better most of the fight. So Onama goes on. Romero, he'll be back. Jim A10 Miller, he is an A10 tank. Just an absolute legend. He has been around forever. It's crazy to think how long I've been watching MMA, and a guy like Jim Miller is still around. It is amazing to me. The Lyme disease, the thing. The guy treats it like a job. He's like a factory worker. UFC is like a factory to him. You might as well clock in and clock out. He really should be a UFC employee. He should have benefits. If they don't give him a job when he's finished, they're scumbags. I genuinely think that guy should get in a certain wing of the Hall of Fame just for tenure. He should, he's got a tenure like a professor when they get tenure. Jim Miller needs tenure. Great guillotine. The guy is dangerous. He can finish anyone at any time. Damon Jackson, he's probably going to get cut. 6-6 at this point. He'd lost 4 in a row now. Also, I think he was right to retire because he probably was going to get cut in a 36. he doesn't want to go in LFA and try and fight his way back to UFC. Hopefully, he's got other things outside of the cage because he's a decent fighter. He's a really decent fighter, Damon Jackson. He is a good fighter. He doesn't shout off of the mouth, so he's not the most well-known fighter, but he's not the most heralded. I think John Anik said, but he's a really decent fighter. He's really good. I know he got submitted, but he's a real good submissions artist himself. Sad to see because no one gives a shit. No one's gonna give an F about him because he doesn't talk smack and he's not a big personality. You know what I mean? He's just part of the woodwork, if you will. But yeah, man, sad to see. But at least he's going out on his own terms as a UFC fighter. There's something to be said about that. Next up, we have McGee versus Martinez, who was, seemed scared, didn't know what to do. Martinez, like they said in the commentary, has all the skills, all the talent in the world, but I think he's got an IQ of about 35. I think he has the IQ of a moth, because when he hurt his leg in the second round, he didn't start going nuts to it, and then he really hammered that one leg kick. He hit it like he was teeing off at a rugby match, trying to score a goal in a rugby match, like through the whatever them things are called. Yeah, man, he really hammered it in. And then the third round, if he'd just kept smacking that leg, the referee might have stopped it, or at least would have been able to jump on top of him and do some damage. And then, or what he should have done is just keep making him get back up, because if they struggle to get back up, the referee will stop it if they seem, impeded in that much of a way. So yeah, he missed a big trick there. And why fighters do this? When he grabbed him up against the cage, I was screaming on my TV, not because I want him to win or I don't like Marcus McGee, but if you've got someone there and there's a way to finish him, you should go for it. Especially when someone's I can't think of the word now, but in such peril. Do you know what I mean? Someone so debilitated like that. I mean, hold him against the cage. I don't know what the guy was thinking. I mean, they said his corner wasn't even screaming at him, so I don't know what the hell was going on. Did he have an injury? Even if he did, he was still able to leg kick, wasn't he? So I just can't think of a reason why he did that. It just. I know it must be different when you're in there, but my word, I mean, he's fighting for his place in the rankings, that sponsorship money, pay, all that stuff, and he just threw it away. I mean, I'm not saying he could have got him out of there, but he should have at least given him the chance for the referee to be like, oh, you can't get up, and then they stop it. I didn't even want to talk about that fight anymore because it was just frustrating. Then we had Huffy versus Lontop. I'm going to do a video on these guys. They're fighting nerds because they are good. This guy came out. It was almost like I was watching McGregor. When they said he's like McGregor, man, the way he held his head and the stance and the way he moved back, the way he started the fight, the first 20 seconds, it was like almost all McGregor's fights. Like the little hop back and that, it was crazy to watch. It was literally like taking me back to 2015. I know it's mad to think how long Connor's been wasted, how much of his career he's wasted. But yeah, the guy was gassing, and I mean, Lontop, I had a little cheeky bet on Lontop because I thought he was good against Slavaclos, and he impressed me. And I think that was short notice too. I mean, they got to give this guy an easy touch now and a soft landing. They've got to give him like a guy who was 0-3 and about to be kicked out of the UFC, who's been knocked out in his last two, and give Lontop an easy first round KO. Because the kind of damage he put on his body, I guarantee you, they didn't even pay him 30 grand for that fight. Do you know what I mean? And the amount of damage he took is in 15-minute fight is unreal. I mean, his face got rearranged. He looked like he'd been stamped on a night out or something. I mean, it was a good fight. Ravi showed he got a lot of skills. Lontop was just a tough son of a gun. That one shot he hit him with, I thought he was going to get him out of there, but Lontop was just not going to go down. I mean, the money they get paid, I wouldn't hold it against Lontop if he's like, yeah, for the money, I'm just going to cover up and get out here and get my check. He stayed in there. I hope he gets some sort of reward. I hope they chuck him some money, cash under the desk, because man, he deserves it. He put some serious brain cells out there in the octagon. But yeah, that was a good fight. Huffy wins. We like to see. I can't wait to see them both fight again, to be honest. Now, Araujo versus Silva, she just outdogged her. Silva showed she had terrible cardio, and they were talking about her in the title sense, and nah, that's not happening anytime soon. Now we get to the juicy stuff. Bo Nickel should be an LFA, not an injury away from being the co-main event at MSG at a pay-per-view event. What the F? He has zero punch power, in my opinion, because he cracked Paul Craig. He cracked Paul Craig with, I mean, at least 5, 6, maybe 7 shots. that when people hit Paul Craig with those sort of shots overhands on the tip of the chin, which he did, Paul Craig goes flailing and goes flying. He managed to hit him at the end, where Paul Craig was visibly going like that, like Charlie Olives did in his fight, going like this in his eye, which is the time to jump on him, and he didn't. And the interview after didn't do any better. I mean, I can tell he just seems like an asshole. You can tell by the interview he just seems like an asshole. He's not a likable person, in my opinion. There's maybe people like him. My opinion, he doesn't seem like a likable person. From what I've heard, I'm from the UK, but from what I've heard, those high level wrestlers, they're like the bullies in the schools or whatever, and the colleges. So yeah, he's probably a dick. Probably always been a dick. I mean, yeah, man, maybe you should go back to wrestling or something, because I don't know if this game's for him, because he was set up with Paul Craig to get him out there. I know Paul Craig got the experience, this and that, and I know he's only 6-0, but man, the guy should be an LFA. He should be an LFA fighting guys who are 0-3 in UFC, but have put up good fights and have to drop down to LFA themselves. They should be fighting guys like that, maybe defending a belt in LFA and just forcing guys to fight him. They can find him fights. Just pay the LFA guys a little 30-40 grand. If he's such a good prospect, it's worth the investment. Promoters often in boxing, take massive losses on fighters early in their career to cash in on the back end. It's a known thing. It's been around forever. But I really think he lacked in punch power. I do not think he won every round. I think Paul, at least, you've got to give Paul at least a round out of that. I mean, possibly two. The first two rounds, I mean, they could have gone either way. So, I think I think the judges, when there's odds that big, they just think, right, there's maybe other things at work here. When someone's a minus 1200 favourite or whatever, let's make sure that we give him the rounds. You know what I mean? Make sure, because if Paul Craig has a 10-8 third, then it's still a draw, isn't it? So that's that. On to the co-main event. It was pure domination by Charles. There was moments in it which was just like the first fight, where he was clipping him with the left and he was exiting to his right, Charles's left, and he was clipping him up against the fence and he was running just like the first fight. Only in the first fight he obviously managed to clip him when he was running out from with his left, and this time he didn't manage to clip him. But yeah, I mean, Chandler had a wicked fifth round, really exciting, hurt Charles. Charles did a bit of what Paul Craig did, like going like this, which is never a good sign. That it's almost like a red rag to a bull, I feel like. But lucky for him. I mean, Chandler, it just seemed off balance. He was just falling over everywhere, all over the place. And it wasn't even always because he was swinging so hard or swinging himself off of balance. He just seemed to have no balance. Like, his balance is shot to bits. Like, I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying Chandler's ever had the best balance, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't falling over in his other fights. He always seemed to have reasonable balance, but I know balance is one of the first things to go with a fighter, but his balance seemed all over the place. I don't know if it's because he hadn't been in there a while or the moment got to him. I mean, I really don't know. He doesn't have good luck in MSG, does he? Like the Brent Primus fight. But either way, it was a great fifth round. Chandler really looked like he was going to do something, and that's why we love UFC. I mean, that would have been one of the most epic comebacks ever, and it could have been a trilogy then. I mean, both fights, he's had moments where he thought he was going to beat Charles. I mean, the first fight, he could have beat Charles. The referee could have stopped it. But, I mean, it was exciting. Those last few dives was purely for the crowd. Just as a man, ego, we all have a bit of it. You could tell he was just like, I'm just going to show that I am not a punk. So he got up and he purposely took a few steps, almost like Matt Hughes, and he would run with Frank Trigg and slam him down. He'd run him across the cage and slam him down. Sean Shirk used to do that, just like as a sort of, well, it was different when they were doing it, but either way, he did it twice, just to sort of show, like, look, I'm not going to go down without a fight, which I respect. But yeah, Charles killed it for the last minute, 90 seconds. Which he had to do. It's the smart thing to do, like DC said. It's the smart thing to do. And one of the funniest post-fights ever, I don't know if he was that concussed, but he said, all I know how to do is throw American badass caution to the wind. That is up there with Ken Shamrock. I'm going to beat you into the living death, and Tito boots the chair up in the air. Oh my lord, I used to watch that as a youngster, like, all the time. I'm gonna beat you into the living death, and Tito's laugh and he boots the chair in the air. It was just hilarious. I must have hit his shin doing that as well. Either way, man, that was hilarious. And then happy and sad at the same time. We go to the main event, because I'm a massive Stipe fan. I really like Stipe, just because of who doesn't like Stipe. I think people are stroking John's ego a bit more. I mean, John looked decent, but he looked really wary of the power. And I mean, if you're fighting Aspinall with his speed and his power, I mean, John would be like, instead of when he was turning his back and running and turning with Stipe, I think he might run and actually jump over the fence and run out of the bloody arena if he's fighting Aspinall, if he's worried about Stipe's power. Because, yeah, Stipe hits hard, but he's not. Stipe does hit hard, but not anymore. Not when he's this old, not when he's this stiff, not when he's been out this long. And he isn't like a Francis hard puncher. He's just a hard heavyweight puncher. He has got big power, but Stipe's, taken fights late and landed a lot of shots on guys in the past, and gone the distance. Like Francis, I know Francis had a rock chin, but he didn't get Francis out of there. I mean, Stipe does hit hard. I'm not trying to get it twisted, but he's not like a Francis or a Rumble Johnson kind of touch of death type puncher. Do you know what I mean? It was an interesting fight in a way. John looked good. Stipe didn't look good. Well, I guess it wasn't an interesting fight. I mean, John did what he did. He's having his victory lap, had his moment. I feel like he's watched some videos probably of YouTubers and people saying what they thought you should have said, because he sort of seems to give the smart answer after, like, yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I think he is trying to make. I think basically what he's thinking is, I'll fight Tom because he knows it's a risk. If it's like 30, 40, 50 million, UFC are not going to pay him that for an Aspinall fight. Even though now Dana's saying that's the biggest fight in UFC history, which he's going to say, John still wants a Pereira fight. So I don't know what's going to happen. They're not going to give him his FU money that he wants, I don't think. And I know what John's thinking. He's been fighting, being a champion over 10 years. He's been doing this forever. And Jake Paul's getting 40 mil to move around with Mike Tyson for 16 minutes, 8 2-minute rounds. I get it, but it's a different thing. These people tuning in to watch that, and the kind of people who would have been tuning in to watch UFC. That's what all these boxers and fighters who are getting angry and jealous don't understand. The people tuning in watching these fights are kids who are not going to watch any other fights. They're just interested in Jake Paul. They're not boxing fans, so he's not taking money out of your mouth, and he's not. All these boxers, I can tell they're so jealous and angry because they're thinking, all the hard work they put in their career to not even earn 10 mil, some of these world champions, and Jake Paul is earning 30 mil to fight Tommy Fury, 40 mil, whatever, to fight Mike Tyson. But it's a completely different thing. It's almost not a sport. It's almost an event. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same thing. So fighters need to get that out of their head. It's a different thing. These people watching Jake Paul. If Jake Paul stopped fighting tomorrow and the Misfits went away, they'd all go away. They'd never watch fighting again in their life. They're not interested in it. These kids are interested in whatever the kids are into, drinking Prime, I guess, or whatever. But it's going to be interesting to see if the UFC can corral Jones into fighting Aspinall. I think Jones is going to go away. I think he's going to relinquish the belt. I think Aspinall will get elevated to full champ. I reckon he'll fight someone, maybe fight someone else. Jones will probably hope he looks bad or loses, and then maybe you can just say, look, Tom's lost, let me fight Pereira. He probably hopes Tom loses, Pereira keeps winning, then he can fight Pereira. But like Dana said, that's a mismatch. One last thing, when the champ of champs, Donald Trump, came into the building, I thought it was hilarious, the reception he got. It was crazy. They absolutely love him up there, coming in with Elon Musk and Kid Rock. It was crazy. He got the biggest pop of anyone in the night. I mean, the crowd just went absolutely bonkers for him. I thought it was quite funny. So I'll just leave it there. That's my thoughts for the weekend. And let me know what you guys think. Give me a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe. You be studs. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.